having an 18-year-old and having a 1-year-old. Like I have both right now, and it's like it's a riot. But I did tell my kids, there's one that landed, and I could tell because there's that moment of like big eyes where they were aware, like, okay, I'm like, you know, when you like want to know if it hits, or you're trying to tell yourself, my kids are gonna love to hear this, and they just completely bypass whatever, Dad. This is one of them at once. I'm like, hey, you know the difference between a neck tattoo and a social media post? They're like, what, Dad? I'm like, you can get rid of the neck tattoo, and they're like. It's just immediate evaluation tool to like, what if I, oh my gosh, whatever. I'm like, yeah.
It's there forever.
But going back to hardening up and getting tough and being fit as a person or as a leader with your character and everything is like, are you doing things daily to build up that tolerance or to build up the version of you that's aspirational? And in my executive coaching, I always joke with folks, I'm like, well, and the ones I coach the best are usually the ones that are alpha that are typically uncoachable by other people. And I'm like, hey, listen, I'm not here to teach anything. What are you here to do? And I'm like, as a matter of fact, your problems I don't particularly care about. And they just kind of look at me puzzled. And I'm like, if you think I'm here to like be better than you or do all this other, like I'm not, like I just kind of like deconstruct what this really is. I am going to give you a clear vision of what you expect to be and what this world will look like from your hands when you're 90. When you're 80, when you're 70, when you're 60, when you're 55, 50, 45, which would be 5 years from now for whoever I was talking about. Those are your mentors. We need to create those characters. We need to get them all built out. That's what we're going to do first. Then you don't answer to me. You answer to them because you're the CEO of this company, whatever. You don't answer to anybody. You not answering to anybody is our real problem right now. It's why you're stuck in the top of this mountain that you're dissatisfied with. But then that became, though, you get this feedback. Oh my gosh, I thought about it. And I didn't even have to get much past the 45-year-old version of me. I didn't have to go. But most people don't do that thinking. They're living 3 inches in front of their face. And what do you want to do when you think that close? I mean, you've had how many people you've probably helped here come in. If you were living even later that night or the next day, you would eat different. You would treat people different. You would think about your breathing practice. You would think about your hydration. You would think about your sleep ritual. You would think about, how many of you listen to this have thought about any of that today? But most of your problems are going to spawn from the fact that you're starting off with like 40% in the tank. Your expectation's 100%. It's the morning. That's irrelevant when you went to bed at like 1 because you couldn't stop watching Yellowstone. You had 2 beers. Actually, you had 3 maybe. We don't know. You wake up in the morning. You're in the red on your sleep. Your recovery's terrible. Your HRV's down. Your resting heart rate's like floating around 64. And all of a sudden, you're telling me like, I want to go hard today. I'm like, your body says you did it. You're done.
I think that's one of the kind of reverting back to CrossFit here. I think that's one of the coolest things about utilizing CrossFit as one of your daily disciplines, because you are so tapped after a workout that, from a glycogen standpoint, from, a physical standpoint, just like you are smoked at the end of a good workout, right? And because of that, you can't get away with drinking in the middle of the week. I mean, you can, but you're going to feel like shit. You're going to be tired. You're not going to be productive at work. For me, I do a lot of, creative work, and that creative work is developing and growing my businesses, right? I can tell a huge difference if I have a drink one night a week or in the middle of the week. I can tell a huge difference in my performance the next day, my mental clarity and everything. And a big part of that is, you could probably get away with that if you're not physically active. But you could probably get away with that just by going to LA Fitness and getting a pump for 30 minutes. But when you're tapping yourself like that every day and digging deep and going to that dark place to get done with a workout, you're looking at what you're eating that day. You're looking at what you're drinking that day. You're looking at how you're hydrating, how you're sleeping, what time you go to sleep, because that workout the next day is going to be a lot harder if you don't.
Well, and I think you just laid out the roadmap that we have for our athletes when they come in, and it's our formula, which is assessment and baseline, then goal, and then you have like reassessment along the way. Like that's how you learn your progress. And awareness, I broker in awareness. It's my business is awareness, detachment, the word deserve, both I didn't deserve that or I do deserve that, and resentment. Like these are the worlds that I live in. But like you have that awareness for a lot of people is a burden. So they don't even want to know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to. And the fact of the matter is, I know what a beer, 2 beer, 3. I know what, and I know the time of day.
Yep.
I know what sleep I have. But I think that a lot of people think, like, well, it's fitness. I'm not going to run a marathon next week. I just want to be healthy. I'm like,
in shape, yeah.
dude,
sure.
When you make critical decisions at work and you have to deal with conflict situations, you have to make business negotiations. What state do you want your body in when you're about to do that?
Yeah.
And it's like, I think that's it. It's below the waterline. It's like the iceberg that's below the waterline that I'm like, I'm not talking about making you Mr. or Miss Olympia here.
Sure.
I'm not even talking about you having 6-pack abs. I'm not even talking to you being like at the weight you even should be. I'm talking about the fact that your cognition, your ability to capture things from your mind, your ability to clearly communicate, your ability to experience a normal range of emotions and manage that relies on these things.
Yeah.
And you neglect them and you wonder. And what happens is when your state is off, Tony Robbins talks about state, story, and strategy. When your state is off, which is why he talks about priming and everything, and you talk about yourself, I got to get me set first, whatever, it's all in alignment with that.
Yeah.
When that's off, guess what the story is? It's victim stories. It's like the story's already been set for the day because of that sleep or because you didn't work out or you maybe later. I should have time later. I'm going to do, like, it's the shoulda, coulda versus, hey, why don't you put it on the calendar and then you'll have to opt out of it later.
Yeah.
Let's just cordon off that time and see what happens. I don't know if I'm talking.
That's a very interesting point you make, though, of how you put yourself into a victimized role when you do that. Because now you're blaming other things. Oh, well, I can get sleep, so now I'm a victim of not getting enough sleep. Right?
Yeah. I got overload. I was doing emails late last night. I'm like, what the hell are you doing emails late last night for? And like you break it down. I mean, the funny thing is when I'm coaching people, it's more of an awareness exercise than an education. Once you ask the right kind of diagnostic questions, people go, "Oh my god!" Oh, they'll make all the patterns. They know their life. They live their life. You didn't.
Yeah.
They have all the patterns, and then when they see the pattern connect, it's brilliant to watch. Oh. All right, great. Let's stop right there.
Yeah.
What do you do with that now? And they'll come up with the perfect prescription for it. Hey, let's try that. Well, what else? I think that's perfect. Let's check in here.
Yeah.
Let's check in there. And then all of a sudden, they're like, sometimes they'll miss the check-in. Like, why? I'm like, hey, how's things going? Let's go great. I'm like, Dave, we were supposed to check in yesterday. Yeah, I didn't need to. I'm like, it just makes me feel so good that I'm like, great, now you are empowered because you own the fact that was 100% your fault. And going back to why aren't people tougher for real? Why aren't they harder? Why aren't they this? Because it's way easier to live in the realm of other people are the reason this is happening to me. Yeah. And even won't even go into bigger nonsense, like the bigger societal. Like I go way far away from anything I have any agency in to inflict it on my own life. Versus what we coach is self-awareness breeds self-management. And they both start with the word self-will. So where are you going to hide? Yeah. And when you start there and work outward, weird how the world gets nicer. Weird how things get easier. I mean, your story that you shared with me, and I'm sure many of your listeners and members that listen to this have heard before, like you're a complete testament to that. Yeah. How many opportunities have you had to feel bad about yourself and to feel self-pity and where am I at? What did I do here? Now it's over. Like no one would have faulted you for that. Right. You know what I mean? You should, but you chose a different road. Yeah. I mean, even white knuckling, there's no brakes in this car, and you had to turn, and you turned. Figuring it out. And I think most people go on a wider road. Well, that's easier. It's better to feel bad right now. It feels right to feel bad right now. Yeah. It feels right to have these donuts. It feels right to drink this beer. It feels right to just binge on social media, watch these movies. And I just joke with people. They're like, "What do you do? What's the quickest answer when people give you the quotables? What's the quotable?" And I'm like whatever your body wants to do, immediately start doing the opposite. Like that's the quickest one. I'm like, why? Calories, no calories. Your body is genetically dispositioned, evolutionarily, to have more rather than less. Less sugar, more. But keep going.
Well, the body seeks comfort
over and over again. But now we're getting to a place where we're trying to make that okay. That in the preform mind, a lot of what the the pendulum swinging over to the direction of psychological safety, and you need a self-care day, and you need all the and I'm not saying that there isn't a place. So if you're listening to this and you can save the hate mail for a minute, all right, it's how quick do we get there? Yeah. We go real quick to give the pity party its due. And I'm maybe let's ask a few more questions. Yeah. Let's maybe see, would you rather need even if you get one of those, would you rather need less of them? Mm-hmm. You know, like, of course we would. Yeah. Would you rather be the dude in the bar that if things went down, people could rely on you? Mm-hmm. Or would you rather be the loud talking guy who's never taken a class in boxing, jiu-jitsu, martial in their whole life that's just living on artifice? You're a big fake. Mm-hmm. And like at some point, if you're listening and you haven't had your moment yet, your moment's coming. And it's all going to fall apart in front of you. Versus me at this point in my life, I see even 100-pound person with cauliflower ear, I stay away. Yeah. I'm like, smart move. We're gonna go to a different bar. I'm like, why? I'm like, I don't want, dude. You can. I'm like, dude. It's like you overvalue size. Mm-hmm. I just want you to know that, like, you overvalue size, and it's just. By the way, if you're a UFC fan, like when UFC came up, it was like I thought Hoist Gracie would have just shown everybody like at that moment the world should have woke up.
Yeah. I should be more humble.
Yeah, like that dude walked in and like, and by the way, wearing a gi into that situation is a bad idea. Oh, he's like, it won't matter, and he was totally right. And I'm like, I think of that. That's like my little